What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Hey man, I gotta talk to y'all real quick. It's a topic that I've been trying to avoid, but can't really get away from it. And of course, that's Joe Budden, the polarizing MC, podcast host, one of the loudest voices in hip hop, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, whatever it is. However, he's had this long-standing grudge with Logic. As most of y'all should know, Logic recently released a cover of It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube, in which he did a acoustic cover. He was singing, it was very melodic. And of course, people think Logic is lame, corny, and all of those things were pretty much exemplified. I didn't see anything necessarily wrong with it, but it's not something that I would typically tune into for my own personal enjoyment, so I understand. However, this video was used as collateral for Joe Budden to tell Logic once again to go ahead and retire, to never pick up a microphone again, to basically abstain from hip-hop in its entirety, regardless of what his fans want, which is where I think you have to draw a barrier, man. Joe Budden calls Logic the worst rapper of all time, and it's just not true in any assessment of hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? Number one, it's not a fair assessment. Number two, it's just not accurate. Of course, this situation has caused a lot of different ripples throughout the industry and throughout social media. O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son, he said Logic could rap. That's good enough for him, but he does not ever want to hear Logic sing about his mother ever again. And of course, Ice Cube rapped on the song, the original, that he got a page from Kxng and She Can Smash All Night. You know what I mean? Now, that's Ice Cube's fault. He put that in the songs. Her reputation is forever solidified and cemented in our memory through those lyrics and those words. Take that up with your daddy, my brother. Okay? Then on another hand, Peter Rosenberg from Hot 97 has some choice words for Joe Budden. And of course, they haven't had the best relationship over the past few years either. Peter Rosenberg has been very critical of Joe Budden. He's been very critical of Joe Budden's position in the podcast game. He was looking at some charts a couple months ago and was outraged that he was so far behind Joe Budden podcast on the podcast ratings. Joe Budden continued to shit on him about that and basically was like, put some respect on my name when you mention me. Get the fuck out of here, which I think Joe was definitely entitled to say. However, on Twitter, Peter Rosenberg came to Logic's defense and said Logic has 2 Billboard #1 albums, 3 platinum albums, 1 gold album, and a nearly diamond single. Sorry, Joe Budden, I love you. And the Ice Cube cover was not a great choice. I agree, but he has done way too well in music for you to tell him anything. And of course, that would have to be comparatively speaking between Logic's success in music versus Joe Budden's success as an artist in music. Definitely 2 different stories. Joe Budden then came back and said, love you too, Pete, but by this logic, quote unquote, you shouldn't be telling me anything about podcasting. Again, another dig to say, hey, stay where you at in your number 55 position or wherever the hell you are. You can't talk to the #1 guy in the game and try to tell me what I'm doing is wrong or tell me how to voice my opinion on my platform when my shit is running the game. Everyone has points. Now, when I say this has caused a stir, Joe Budden's former Slaughterhouse groupmate, Crooked Eye, who's been very critical of Joe in the past year as well, he took to Twitter to say, Joe Budden versus Logic, turn on the beat, give them 24 bars apiece. Who comes out the victor? This is a very controversial take. Because to be honest, I don't think there's anybody who actually listens to lyrics in hip-hop who has been a part of hip-hop, consuming the music, the culture, and everything surrounding it. If you have over 10 years of actual fandom in this culture, you know Joe Budden will rap motherfucking circles around Logic. I like Logic. I've liked Logic from the beginning, from when he was doing the Young Sinatra tapes and all of that stuff. I've been there. But when you take Joe Budden and his content and what he talked about in his songs, be damned the mixing and how that sound. Be damned the fact that he was quite frequently heartbroken on a lot of those mood music songs. They made for some really transparent lyrical displays. He was one of those artists that could walk the line between having like very deep content while also having, you know, the lyrical ability to hang with the punchline rappers like the Fabs, the Cassidys. He was always in those conversations, the Banks, those guys, but he also took it to another level by introducing people into his lifestyle and his life by creating Joe Budden TV and being one of the first rappers to display himself consistently on camera. Again, Logic is more of that lyrical miracle type rap, but I think his first 2 albums definitely are the cornerstones of his career. Under Pressure, still one of the better hip hop albums that came out in the past 10 years. A lot of people are not going to acknowledge that. It was kind of a culmination between his affinity for Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Big Sean, and you kind of got gumbo out of that. But me, as an astute constituent of the hip hop family, I can pretty much dissect anybody's prototype and everything that goes into their formula anyway, just by hearing them on a couple songs. So I can't hold that against him because I hear it on everybody. But again, there was a lot of people out there that jumped in Crooked Eyes mentions and was like, bro, you just been straight hating on Joe Budden for so long. Don't act like Logic can do anything with Joe Budden lyrically, rap-wise. Just stop it. Basically, in so many words, telling him that the way that the group ended up panning out is now clouding his judgment on this man that he was in a group with. And they were basically saying, you wouldn't have been in the group with Joe Budden if he wasn't dope. Don't act like you would have a group with Logic, Royce da 5'9", and Joel Ortiz and be happy with it. I totally agree. Now, I think, unfortunately, Logic gets a lot of flack, right? A lot of people talk about the whole biracial thing, the fact that he raps about that. A lot of people don't like the fact that he's like the peace, love, and prosperity type of artist, you know what I'm saying? He's very smiley. He's non-confrontational. He kind of can use his proximity to whiteness to his advantage while also telling black stories. All of these things seem like fatal offenses to his credibility as an artist, but he's actually being authentic to himself. And that's what hip hop was founded on from the beginning, to be who you are. That's why Eminem was accepted. That's why the Fat Boys were accepted. So many others. Everybody has a place. You know what I mean? We're in such an inclusive space now in hip hop where we have gay and trans artists now that have a platform. They're able to put music out. They have a fan base. We have Saucy Santanas out here that are, you know, in the same conversations with other women in the game. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is about inclusion, being authentic to who you are. Then folks got to get off Logic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're being counterintuitive by just placing him on the stake and acting like he's everything that's wrong with rap, when he's actually one of the more pure hip hop artists, one of the more pure hip hop loving people in the game. He respects the culture more than a lot of y'all, and he's paid homage to it. That's why he's got Ghostface, RZA, Method Man, Russ, Smoke DZA, Papoose, all these different type of artists come and do features on his projects, and he's not just like paying them $1 million for the feature, like, you know what I mean? He's not some dude coming from the outside in, coming from like fintech or something like that, just blowing a bag to get features from all of the people that can offer him credibility. He is genuine fans of these people. When he meets them, he throws out the red carpet for folks, man. He is one of the most respectful people in hip hop, and he's done that for countless amounts of people. So I think he really deserves that. He put so much work in, probably like anywhere between 5 to 8 years on the underground circuit, doing indie shows, going to community radio, college radio, and all these different states. So much so that he was actually disguising his voice to call in to college radio to request his song, you know, pitching it up like a woman, sounding like a little kid, sounding like a student, sounding like, you know what I'm saying? He did all of that brunt work that a lot of artists are not willing to go through in order to get where he's at. So to discredit him, act like he ain't put no work in, like he's an industry plant, like he's bad at rapping, all of those things are completely false. I can't stand on that. If you say you don't like him, that's perfectly fine, but you can't act like he's the worst. I've heard in the last 2 days, probably 5 to 6 niggas worse than him. 5 to 6 niggas that I could say are the worst niggas ever. But I'm not going to come out here and say that neither, because I'm not discrediting their journey the same way y'all do Logic. Let me know what y'all think of this down below in the comments, man. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the post notification bell for all updates, and I will see you guys on the next one, all right? Stop playing.